Hi, it's Sarah with House Copper and Cookware. I'm going to do just a quick video today on authentic copper cookware, what it used to look like before we had the modern spinning tools and the mechanicized ways of creating copper cookware. Back in the original coppersmith days, when Paul Revere was making copper, they made copper cookware in the flat, which means they had huge sheets that were smelted and rolled on rollers and made that way. So they had these big sheets that were then cut down, especially in America. They were shipped in a specific size, similar to tin, which was 14 by 10 inch sizes. And the coppersmiths then would have to make the wares out of these restricted sizes, which is why a lot of times you might find really old copperware that have, the two pieces, and then in the back there's like a triangle, like a gusset, which is where they ran out of material. It's also why you see copper pots in a lot of the really old houses, or there are certain reenactors who do videos that show what are called clinker pots, which are sheets of copper that have been connected and then riveted together. They make a lot of really great reproduction ware that reflects that look, but that comes from the fact that the copper was made out of flat material. So I'm going to show you, this is an original corn boiler or a small little pot made out of copper. This was done in the flat, and I made this in the copper shop 2 years ago almost. But you can see it is tin lined and used obviously a lot, but the tinning, we do the tinning in the flat because otherwise it warps over heat, and the copper is so thin it wouldn't tin up unless we did it ahead of time. The coppersmiths would use different seams, which I'm going to show you, to connect the sheet copper. This is what is called a crimp seam. So you've created a copper bend like this, and then another one like this, and you do like that, and you smash them together as a really great lock, and then you solder that seam after the fact to make it watertight. On the bottom, it is another type of a crimp seam, and I don't know if it's obvious. You can see how the copper's been burred out like this on the bottom, with the base then set down over the top, and to create a different type of crimp seam. You will hear the term cramp seam, which is a dovetail-like seam, except it's a straight cut as opposed to a flared cut, which is dovetail, and those were also used along the seams and then braze shut or on the bases to cut a circle out and then braze together. They really didn't do that after the 1830s, so if you have one of those, it's probably prior to 1830s. They wired the rims for strength. These bales are made out of brass. I'm trying to see if I can show you a lap seam. Here's a lap seam. I don't know how to, there you go. So the material is simply lapped over each other. You can see there, it's kind of just put and lapped like this and then soldered. Those are the three kinds of seams they used when they were building in the flat. They also had to repair these by patching, usually with another piece of copper. If they were tinsmiths, then they repaired it with a piece of tin. But that is the original, this is the original type of copper kettle and pot used by some of the earlier Americans, what you would have seen in the fur trade, early 1800s, when we were, barely to the Mississippi River and Missouri River, and certainly Revolutionary War. You would have found most kitchenware made out of copper and tin like this. Those are the designs that I use when I create the more modern versions of copper cookware here at House Copper, and I welcome questions about any of the building of reproduction ware whether it's tin or copper. I always use tools from the 1800s, sometimes 1700s to make this. And so happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much, and have a good one.